Let's go.
Krunk Crew. How do you do? Krunk Crew. It's me, your host, Kyle Krunk, bringing you the 5th episode of the Krunk Crew Debrief podcast. I'm recording this right now at 12:51 a.m. on December 23rd. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic holiday so far. Excuse me one second. I had to burp. I didn't want that on the podcast. What's up, everybody? Episode number 5. Wow. Episode number 5 already. Yeah, let's get right into it. Today it makes sense to start with this topic because this is kind of something that affects every podcast, every stream, everything. Anytime you guys see or interact with me, I've already been affected by this. So, something I deal with all the time. It's anxiety. A lot of you guys know that I deal with that, but this specifically, my anxiety gets real. I call this like start anxiety. My anxiety gets really bad whenever I need to start the stream or start the podcast. Whenever I have to hit that start button, my anxiety levels just start going slowly and steadily up. And then I'll literally, I could be sitting up here and have everything ready to start for a podcast or for a show, which includes opening up a bunch of programs, all that stuff, whatever. But then as soon as I'm ready, I will go walk around the house or do something else, or it's something that it's weird too, because like once I hit start, like I am right now, here I am recording, talking to you guys. You're gonna hear this, and once I hit start, it's not a problem, and I know that. I know that going into it. I know that in the middle of having this anxiety to start, I know that like once I hit that button, it'll be fine. Once I hit the button, it's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be all good. But it's still, there's something about it. I don't know. Something I need to work on, and with streaming, that's kind of why I've been kind of scared, hesitant to put a schedule on things. A definite schedule, because I'm afraid, I could have like a 10-minute situation and then I don't know. I don't like letting people down, and I don't like feeling like a liar, so I don't want to put a schedule on things and not be there for whatever reason. And yeah, I want to be able to provide you guys the best content I can whenever I can, whether it's a stream or a podcast or whatever it is. Yeah, I want the best for you guys, because I don't know, you don't want to give someone shit. I don't know how to explain. You know how it is. If you're proud of what you do and the work that you do, whether it be IT work, whether it be some sort of office job, whether it be some sort of grocery or fast food, whatever, if you're proud in the job that you do, you want to provide only your best work, and when you know that it might not be the best, you don't want to provide that. So that's just where that is for me, and I feel like it puts me in a weird mental state if I start believing like, oh man, I'm a liar, or oh, I didn't show up. I don't know. It's kind of why I dropped out of college, because the same kind of feeling of anxiety. What would happen, and this happened both times actually, before and after I joined the Marine Corps. The first time was a little bit different. I won't go too deep into that, but that was when I went through like a really major relationship separation breakup in my life. It was a super toxic relationship that I went on for over 2 years and stretched from high school into college, and then middle of college, it was the final, like, it was done, like, of that relationship. As, like, you know, if you've been in a toxic relationship, or maybe it wasn't toxic, whatever, maybe you've just been in this relationship at the time had a lot of breakups and threats of, like, oh, then we'll just break up, blah, blah, blah. Well, this was, like, a breakup, so, like, at first you think when you're in one of those relationships, whatever, we'll just fix it, we'll be back together in a couple days. But like, this was, you could tell from the beginning, this was finale, the end, breakup. So I was going through that the freshman year, of the very first time I ever went through college, and I was dealing with the issue that I dealt with the second time, which was went to the Marine Corps, came out, and I was like, hey, I got discipline now. But if I missed one class for whatever reason, I think I missed a class for a legitimate reason one time. I had this weird anxiety about, like, well, now I'm gonna go and then everyone's gonna look at me as the person that wasn't there last time, when in reality nobody gives a shit. But I kept working it up bigger than it was. Like, everybody's gonna know, and the teachers gonna know I wasn't there, and I didn't do the homework, and I didn't get the homework, and blah blah blah. And it was just all these things that I had a hard time dealing with, and I still do have a hard time dealing with. Whenever I miss something that I feel like I'm supposed to do, I have a hard time kind of not facing the consequences, but for not, and also it's not like I want to pretend like it didn't happen, but you know, going forward, it's just one of those things. It's like, I feel like you maybe you can look at it this way. Maybe I feel like, for whatever it's worth, it's you lose trust. Whether it's the trust of the other students, which shouldn't matter to you, but the trust of the teacher should matter to you. Or it's the trust of the teacher, you know, whatever it is, you lose trust, and maybe they're not going to be there. And I don't know, something about me wants people to have that trust in me that I'll be there for them when they need it. And so I have, I guess, like a fear and an anxiety tied to people losing that trust in me. You know? I want people to, I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. And I'm kind of just discovering this as I talk about it. So I don't know. Maybe it's something I need to do a little bit more of internal reflective thinking on, and see what I get out of it. But really, even though I know that, you know, going back to the start of this all, the start anxiety, even though I know that once I hit record or start, it's going to be all right, in my head, I'm able to tell myself a million things that could go wrong or would go wrong or whatever. All these things that prevent me from starting, and I just need to work on dealing with that. If that stuff ever does happen, or, you know, whatever, deal with it as it comes, and not 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 let it hold me back as much as it has been, I guess. So that's something I'm gonna be working on in the future. You know. So my birthday was December 13th. We are 10 days after my birthday, which is a little over a week. It's a week since the last podcast. I've been asked on the stream by one of the regular viewers, one of the mods, Nick, how my fitness journey was going. And to be honest with you guys, to be 100% honest with you, I don't think it's really gonna start until the beginning of the new year. Once I get into this Brazilian, I got in a low hum, and it just started coming out of my mouth all at once, and it was like, once I get and I needed more articulation, and my mouth was just in this trance. So sorry about that. God, I'll get better, I promise. But once I get through the end of this year and start the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's so easy to let your mouth want to get lazy on that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Once I'm really going to consider that the start. I have been pretty good about not doing like fast food or anything, except I cheated today because we don't really have any food in the house, and to be honest with you, I couldn't really afford to get anything other than some quick fast food that was cheap and a couple bucks. So It was the only time I've done fast food. I haven't gained any weight. I think I've lost like 2 pounds since my birthday, but really that's just the fluctuation of like water weight that's here or there, so not a big deal. But I'll really start, ask me that question in not 2 months. Ask me that question in a month. I was gonna say 2 weeks, I'm gonna be like, that's too soon. Ask me that question in a month at the end of January. Hopefully I'll have gotten some things done and started, and we'll go into that. Go into that then, and we'll see where we're at. We'll keep doing progress checks. I see it just really as it's a challenge, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. So we have time. If I go balls to the wall out of the gate, I'm gonna burn myself out. Anybody that's done any sort of running knows if you put too much of that effort in on the start of the race, it kills you the rest. So I'm not gonna do that as far as this goes, and I'm confident. I'm confident in achieving it. Some other things I'm gonna say. We will definitely be talking about Star Wars in this podcast. It's gonna be towards the end because you can't really talk about it without spoilers. So I want people to be able to listen to the whole podcast, and then at the end I'll have a big warning that says, "Hey, spoilers are about to happen," and people will know then to get up out ya. They wanna avoid that. But we're gonna keep going on through the podcast until then. There's something I definitely wanted to talk about. This one's kind of hard for me to talk about because it's you want people to see you as strong, and this is one of those things, especially with guys. And I guess this is what I have heard as part of what toxic masculinity is, that guys can't feel like they can't. I don't know. I feel like they can't talk about emotions. That's just stupid. We could call it toxic feminism when females say, "Oh, it's fine," but something's not fine. Shut the fuck up about this toxic masculinity. Out of the way. Sorry, that's a side note that just popped in my head as I was thinking about this. I'm gonna take a drink of G Fuel before I get overheated and get that. I don't know how I saw that video, but that was annoying. It's not just I mean, yeah, there might be more on men than there is women, the pressure to not talk about emotions, but everybody in the world has pressure not to talk about their emotions, especially their mental health, because everybody wants to feel like they're having a great life. Social media is a culture of this wasn't planned for me to talk about, but we're going to talk about this right now. Social media has grew this culture of only seeing the best sides of people's life all the fucking time, pretending that people don't have arguments with their mom or their dad or their significant other or their brother or their sister or whoever it may be, their best friend, whoever. Pretending that your life's great all the time. It's not great all the time. You only post the happy things on social media, and we've created this culture of, oh, I see, how's this? Like, when you ask someone about their life, you ask them about what you've seen on social media. How's this and this and this and this? And it's only how was this trip and how was that and that and that. And we're not really asking each other, how are you? Like, you might be saying, how have you been or whatever. But I think people aren't really trying to get that question down to. Everything's so shallow now. Everything's so shallow. You only want people to see the good things, and you don't want them to dig any deeper than that top layer of good. But you know what? There's a lot of shit. There is a lot of shit, and it's not all good. Not all the time. Not even remotely some of the time. For some people, and even for me, I've had years, I've had weeks, I've had months, I've had days. You put a title on it, I've had it. I've had that amount of time where it was more bad than good. Like, way more bad than good. To the point where you try to look back into the good things and you're like, what am I looking at? You're like looking out at the ocean horizon trying to find a sailboat that ain't fucking there. Where am I? There's something, I've had those times, and it's not cool to talk about that in your life because now, even we started out at this culture of not wanting to even talk about emotions and mental health and stuff like that to people. When people did start talking about it, they got some sort of, I guess, attention or um some sort of, there's some just connotations with it, whether it's good or bad attention. And then it became to the point where now people legitimately faked it to get attention, some to where it would drown out the people that needed the attention that aren't faking it. And it's just like, there's some people that'll think anything that's talking about mental health on social media is just a farce to get attention and likes and whatever and impressions, whatever it may be, because why talk about it on social media? But we've also created this culture that some people don't have any other outlets, you know? So some people feel like they have nowhere to turn because all they've done up until their life went bad was post the good stuff on social media. So then when things do go bad, they can't post the bad on social media because then it's just like, oh, you want attention or you want. It's just, why can't we all as a group, as a society, just be there for people in need, regardless of what the fucking need is? Obviously, there's different levels to this. There's, hey, I need a new tire on my Tesla. Well, guess what? You know, that might not be as important. But as far as this mental and emotional support goes, I feel like we're failing each other. We're failing each other. Suicide rates have gradually, continuously been rising since the birth of social media at a higher rate than before social media was ever around. I'm not going to say exact numbers because I don't know them, but I know this to be true. Social media and suicides increasing have coincided. Um, and it's this huge vortex. It's this huge avenue of like, did you do this? Yes. Did you do this? No. Like, you can go through all these decisions, but it always seems to lead back to people feeling alone. People feeling alone. Even when they're in a virtual world surrounded by hundreds or thousands of people, they feel alone at the end of the day because they can only share good with those people, and maybe they don't have too many people in their real life that they can have stuff going on. And then if you do have those few good people in your real life, right? What if the problem is with those people? Then you have nowhere to turn. And there's so many people that find themselves in this position because the majority of their strong bonds and relationships are online where they don't feel like they can discuss this stuff. But then shit goes down with the person that they have as an outlet in the real world. And then now they have no outlet for whatever reason. And a lot of shit these days is internalized. I know for myself, especially, I internalize a lot of things, and it's not really the best option because when you internalize things, if you're like me, you put it in there, and it's something that you don't only think about just that time, but when you internalize it, you almost kind of store it for use whenever something else is bad going on. You're like, oh yeah, well, remember that stuff that I internalized, and then you apply it to the situation. Like I said, it's just that same ocean where you look back and there's this ocean of bad, and you're looking for something good because you've internalized all this bad because all the good you had you put out into the world and it expelled it. And it's just we need a better culture of people being there for each other. Um, and truly asking like how your day's been, wanting to know. When I ask that question, I get really offended if I ask that question, hey, how's your day been? Someone tells me, hey, it's been great. And I find out like an hour or however long later that their day hasn't been great. Because I don't just ask that question just to like everybody else, I guess, has in their whole life, just as a good morning or as a vocal place marker. I ask how was your day because I genuinely want to know, and if it wasn't good, I want to know. If it was good, I want to know. But I get offended when someone tells me something when I ask that kind of question, and then that's not the case. Um, it's obviously there's, like I say with so many things, there's levels to it. You might not have that relationship with a certain person yet to discuss whatever's going on bad in your life, but even if you don't have that, maybe you could just say it's going bad. I don't want to talk about it. It's going bad, but I don't want to talk about it. And then you know what? That's to me, if someone says that, I go, hey, I completely understand. Don't want any attention on it. Let's try to get your mind off of it. For me, I don't know. I'm just a very honest person, and I don't like. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I truly want to know if I'm asking you how's your day because I actually want to know. If I'm asking you this, to me, when I ask somebody something, it's just when I am communicating with people, I feel like it's meaningful, and I feel like it's there's so many instances these days of communication that doesn't feel meaningful, and that feels just place marker, I guess, like I mentioned before, where it's just you're going through the motion. Yeah, and how's the weather? And I even catch myself in that sometimes too, and that monotony and that rotation of communication. But I feel like for the most part, um, whenever I'm asking a question, it's because I'm genuinely, like I've discussed in other podcasts, I'm genuinely trying to get not that knowledge, and I feel like we all have the ability to help each other a little bit. And if your day isn't going good and you're saying it is, and you then not only are you internalizing the issue like we mentioned before, but you're also denying others the ability to be there for you. And maybe you don't want them to be there for you, but sometimes when you're having a bad day, you're not also thinking clearly. And you might not want someone to be there for you, but you fucking need it. You need it, whether you want it or not. You need it, you know. Um, so I think we should all just do a better job of being honest with each other, and not having those situations where you're just saying whatever to get by. Whether it's you're saying how's your day to get by just to make that conversation, or you're lying to that question, um, telling someone that your day is good when it's not, just to get by. Because I think we can do a lot to help each other not have such. I saw it in a clip, I don't know where, but like literally loneliness is becoming a a diagnosis in like health crisis these days, in a world with social media where people can be connected instantaneously throughout the world unlike any other time in existence. Loneliness is an issue. I think that's because we've made such a culture of, like I started the podcast with, we made such a culture of making a big show of all the good things in our life and not any of the bad things, that for the day, like I said, we feel lonely. And we shouldn't have to feel that way. We shouldn't have to feel that way because there are people out there that care. Um there might be a lot more people out there that outweigh the people that do. There are a lot of people out there that do care, and like I said, if you deny them the opportunity to try to help you, and we're just failing ourselves, failing each other and ourselves. Um, but the thing I did want to talk about that got interrupted with that random thought process, something that's really weird for me. Um, so my whole life, right, I grew up kind of laughing at like adults and anybody that ever got emotional over like a song or a movie or a this or a that. Like the only thing that ever made me cry was like pain. Um, and that was true for like 94% of my life. 90% of my life at this. That was true for so long, and ever since I started having troubles with ever since I got back from the Marine Corps, the strangest thing ever has happened, right? So, and this has been going on for a few years, so this isn't like new, but because I've been back from the Marine Corps for a few years. But like I said, I'm this person that I literally went and I saw a Walk to Remember. You guys know that movie? If you don't know that movie, A Walk to Remember, it's a fucking tearjerker. I saw that movie in theaters in 4th grade, and I've seen it a bunch since, right? And it's about a girl that has cancer and and a little relationship that's going on, blah blah blah. Like I said, I saw it in 4th grade. An older movie. If you know the movie, you know the movie. Never had emotions ever watching it before. Kind of remember just watching it and being super bored. I can now watch like a stupid commercial YouTube video movie insert media forum here, and I can have shit that like chokes me up so crazy. Like I feel like I went from somebody that had almost so much control over my emotions that I had no emotion before the Marine Corps to after the Marine Corps. I feel like my emotions are so easily malleable, I could say. Like the dumbest videos or commercials or these are moments and shows that bring back up memories or whatever all choke me up all the time now. My all my other emotions too. It's not just like that. Like all my emotions are so as I've grown older and gained control of so many more parts of my mind, whether it's been intelligence or the thought processes or whatever it is, it's weird to see something that I was so good at from a young age to, like I said, most of my life deteriorate so fast over a couple years. And like, it's so crazy. Like, prime example. I can talk about this now and I probably won't get emotional at all. But like, I lost my dog DJ, who I had had for 14 years, for half my life. Well, at this point, I'm 29, so half my life. But at the time when I lost him, it had been over half my life. I was 23 at the time, I think, when he passed. 24? It was 24. We'll call it 23, 24, whatever. Um, and he passed away. I was in the Marine Corps in North Carolina, and he was back here in Kentucky when he passed. I didn't get to say goodbye to him or any of that. Um, so it was always something that's been super like deep to me. Like that was my homie, that was my best friend for so many years. And randomly we were doing the Christmas tree decorations, right? And Michelle pulled out an ornament of DJ's from his first Christmas. Is like a ceramic bone. It says DJ's first Christmas, like 2001 or 2000, 1990 or 2000 to 2001, something like that. Old. And just her pulling that out just like broke me. I started instantly, I needed to walk away. I had to go downstairs. I started crying, like, and yeah, things had made me cry when I was younger, but nothing ever like that. Like, had ever visually, like, oh, you look at something or you hear something and cry. It was insane to have, to the point now where I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum from where I was. But I guess that's now that we've talked about it, that's the best way to describe it. Where I was most of my life, I feel like I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum now. Like, it's just insane. It's insane to have your emotions so crazily and easily swayed sometimes after having most of your life it not be like that. So it makes relationships with people, friends, um, it makes a lot of things hard because a lot of things you have to check yourself. A lot of things make you mad or jealous or any emotion, any emotion. Just think about any one of your emotions that you can imagine on a roller coaster with your eyes closed and you don't know which way it's going, if it's going to get more intense or slower or faster or up, down, left, right, you know. And that's what it feels like for me all the time. Or I guess I should say some of the times, not all the time. Um, it's really hard too because I dealt with something recently. I'm not going to say any names or anything like that, but it's something I've dealt with my entire life, and it was the other day, and it made me pretty sad because it makes me feel like there's something wrong with me. I was talking with a couple friends, you know, and we've all been in this situation. All right, so say you got friend A and friend B, and then you got yourself, and you're talking. You and friend A are talking, right? Blah blah blah, and you're having a good time. Ha 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 ha. And then friend B shows up and says something, I guess, not very nice, or they say something negative. And then all of a sudden, friend A, who was just back and forth, you guys were like, ha ha ha, yeah, we're cool, we're cool. Now all of a sudden, friend A is like cracking up about the negative shit that friend B's saying. And you get this sense of like feeling of like all of a sudden it's swapped, and it's like now it's like A and B versus you, and it's like, why couldn't we all just be cool and be friends? Why did there even have to be this dynamic of now it feels like you guys are ganging up on me? Why does this dynamic even have to be here? Why can't we all just be cool with each other? Um, and I've had that my entire fucking life. And it just happened the other day and it fucking broke me. It broke me because it's like, even as an adult, I can't get away from this thing where it feels like maybe there's something fucking wrong with me that makes it so either like, yeah, maybe I'm the guy you can be friends with, but yeah, even if it's just like everyday joking, it's different when it goes from like everyday joking when it's just you and friend A just hanging out and talking, and you guys are talking shit to each other. That's different. That's different because now all of a sudden friend B shows up. It doesn't feel like, hey, we're all doing this to, with each other laughing. Now it feels like me and friend A and B are laughing, and you're just the fucking dunce boy in the corner. I'll give a really, really, really good example about this. YouTube watchers are gonna get a better idea just because of the visual example I'm gonna give, but I'm gonna describe this really well so that if you're listening, you'll understand. One of the best examples of this happening, like I said, this has happened almost my whole life. Um, and this is one example that has always stuck out for me as one of the major examples of this happening. And I don't know, like I said, I've always had a problem with it, and it's always had an impact on me and this is one of the like the biggest ones that has stuck with me forever. So let me take a drink and I can remember this clear as day. So I was 17, and me and my best friend at the time, 17 was the year I had first started kind of like smoking weed and stuff. So like getting really high and just, you know, tuning out, goofing off, getting the munchies, all that stuff that you do when you're a teenager. I mean, maybe you shouldn't necessarily do, but you know, it happens. Whatever. Let's not go into those semantics. But me and my best friend at the time had gotten high, and we'd had this like long discussion where we had been like friends, laughing, ha ha ha, back and forth, back and forth. And then two other people showed up that we were all mutual friends together, and we were saying something, and we were in this conversation, and I brought up something that me and my best friend had discussed earlier. I said, "Yeah, I remember." And he goes, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." And I go, "Yeah, you do. We were just talking about it before they showed up." And he goes, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." And as he said that, he made eye contact with me, and he like squinted his eyes and like the only way, if I was writing a book, I would say I would write in an evil and menacing way. If you're watching the video, I'll show you right now. This is exactly what he did. He looks at me and goes, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." And it was like there was that squint where he like when we had made eye contact of like he gave me like a knowing acknowledgement that he did know what I was talking about, but he was like doing some evil connive. It was weird. It was weird. And it feels like that same I get that same sense about it all the time. It's like this weird like what are your objectives? Your objectives are only negative and bad. People do that now where it's like this gang up mentality. It's super shitty. It's like why can't we all just be laughing together instead of I can take jokes. I can take when we're all joking with each other. But it seems for me specifically, I don't know. It seems like sometimes I'm at the butt end of the joke more often than not. And it seems like I'm always that friend that's cool when nobody else is around. And as soon as other friends get around, then it's all of a sudden like, let's make fun of this guy. And it's like, am I the ugly stepsister? I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but it's this weird vibe that I always get, and it's something that's always been a problem that I've always dealt with. I grew up next door to twins. Maybe that was part of it. It's something like I said, I've always dealt with this. I grew up for 9 years. I was a real little kid next door to twins, and you have that going on, and then I always had groups of like three friends, I guess, 3 to 4. I guess that always opened up that possibility, but something that I really struggle with. It just kind of sucks, and I don't necessarily enjoy that it happens, you know? So, I don't know. Um, that's a lot about me that maybe you didn't want to know or didn't intend to know, but it sounded like, as I heard that, do you ever talk and then kind of like after you say things, you instantly are replaying it in your head? I just did that, and when I did that, it sounded like I said Nintendo. Sorry, that's weird. Um, but you add those two things together, the fact that my emotions are the harder to control than ever, and the fact that I'm dealing with things that I've always dealt with my life that I'm struggled with, and it makes some things a way bigger struggle than I feel like they need to be. I'm hoping with this exercise, I'm hoping with just some healthier life choices this coming year, I can make progress on all these things and hopefully um, have more mental capacity and ability to focus on some of these things. And I don't know. I'd like to. I'd like to look back on a sea of happiness, looking for the bad times sometimes. Um, I don't know if it's just me or if I'm wearing a negative tinted pair of glasses, but my struggles mentally and emotionally the past couple of years make it feel it's hard on people in my life, because we could me and a friend or me could have just had a really good time and a really, and for me it gets lost sometimes. Those things get lost, and I just want anyone that's out there to know you deal with these kind of things, you're not alone. And we can all be there for each other, and it's something that I'm hopefully going to be able to work on and get better at. And as I get better at, maybe tell you guys, this is what I'm doing to help get better, and maybe it'll help you guys. But I don't even know why I wanted to talk about all like this emotion stuff this week. I think it's because that thing happened, like I said recently, where I had it feel like a couple of my friends were like, I don't know, I had that situation. Then I also had, I say to anybody that's listening to this part into the tail end of the podcast, I also had somebody tell me that they had listened to, I had a couple people, more than one person tell me that they listened to this podcast and it really helped them shitty. And the first person who told me that, who you are, I was streaming, I had to turn off the camera. It really broke me down because it meant so, so, so fucking much to me, because making this podcast helps me learn about myself. Just because the way it is right now, I don't have guests. I just kind of here talking to you guys about whatever. It's helped me learn about myself. It's helped me get a little bit better. So just to know that it's helped any of you means the world to me. I just want to put good out in the universe. Hope that someday it'll come back to me. I want to keep doing this as long as I know that there's people out there that it might be helping. And I want to share my struggles with you guys, because by doing that, we all grow closer and we all grow better equipped to go forward. And if we're all going forward better equipped, if you're going forward better equipped, then you're going to be able to help me out better. Because then when you're going through this shit that I've already went through, that I helped you with, you're going to blast through that shit super quick. And then you're maybe going to run into the obstacle that I need help with. And it's just, I don't know. We all help each other progress. With all that being said, we're about to talk about Star Wars. Spoilers ahead. Audio only listeners, beware. Warning, I'm about to play a loud noise. This noise is indicating the start of the Star Wars talk and spoilers. Alright. Star Wars. Went and saw it. 11:30 in the morning. On, what was it? 20th? The 21st? Whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. Went and saw Star Wars. People have been asking what I think all week. I said I couldn't talk about it without spoilers, because you cannot talk about this movie without spoilers. What the hell? So, pretty much, the end of all the Skywalker saga. The whole movie is the Skywalker saga, right? The whole entire, all 9 movies is supposed to be the Skywalker story. Starts with Luke Skywalker, episode 4. Tells you then that the prequels are about Anakin Skywalker. The last movie, Rise of Skywalker. Guess what? These entire past couple trilogies hasn't been about a Skywalker. It's been about a Palpatine. Rey's a Palpatine, not a Skywalker. Oh yeah, but by the way, at the end of the movie, she's just gonna become a Skywalker by saying, "I'm a fucking Skywalker." Oh hey, by the way, I'm Rey Skywalker. That's who I am. What? She's just gonna declare herself a Skywalker. So, the end of the entire Skywalker story is with a Palpatine being the last one alive. Let's just go into this movie from start to finish. It's frustrating. Um, Pretty much this entire movie is making up for the last movie, so it's trying to. The first third of the movie is like rapid fire. If the trailer sequences of what the last movie should have been, it's Kylo Ren searching all these different places for a. It looked like at first I was thinking, oh, is this a holocron, a Sith holocron that he's grabbing? No, it's a Sith finder, Sith radar that takes him to Exogol, which is this legendary hidden Sith planet. He gets there to find that zombie Palpatine is alive. Yep, that's right. Palpatine's here, and he's a fucking zombie controlled by this big flat arm. Oh yeah, as he's walking in, you see all these Snoke bodies in test tubes, and he says, "I created Snoke. I am the one that created Snoke." He doesn't elaborate any further. He doesn't say if he's a puppet, if he created him as in put him in power, but it makes it seem kind of like he was this weird artificial person. He tells Kylo, "I'm every voice that has ever been in your head." And then he tells him, "Go get Rey, bring her here." Long story short, Rey and Kylo are dabbling with their connection throughout the whole movie. At one point, they're on a planet and they're fighting with each other. First of all, Rey is Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan Jedi already. Because I don't know, even with her potent blood, she doesn't need all the training that all the other Jedis. Yoda had to train to be strong. Anakin had to train to be strong. Everyone had to train to be strong. Her training, I'd say hard warm up at best. But with her training, that isn't nearly as long as some of the legendary Jedis we know. At one point, the ship's flying away, who she thinks has Chewbacca on it. She stops it with the Force. We're just stopping ships midair. Like, I thought it was when Kylo stopped that blaster bolt midair. That was one of the first times we'd ever seen that. That was one of the first times we'd ever seen that, and that was like a pretty big show of power. Like, you just stopped a blaster bolt midair? That's insane. That was insane at the time. A blaster bolt. She is trying to stop a spacefaring craft from leaving the planet, and then Kylo gets involved and he's trying to pull it. Then she gets angry at Kylo for pulling it, and all of a sudden, lightning comes out of her hands. We don't know she's a Palpatine at this point yet. We don't know why this happens, but lightning comes out of her hands. Okay, you're that good with the Force. Ben goes on a huge redemption arc. They have this big fight. They defeat Palpatine. Palpatine sucks the life from both Rey. Before they defeat Palpatine, he sucks both. This is all, like I said, spoiler. You've been alerted with spoiler. Fuck off. I also farted if you heard that. This is the spoiler part of this stream, so get over it. It's not a stream, it's a podcast. Apologize, I'm a little worked up about this. So, Rey finally gets there and he goes, Palpatine says, "I've been waiting for you to get here this whole time anyway. I want you to be the Empress. By killing me, all the Sith that have ever lived will go into you. You'll fulfill your destiny. You'll get all my power, and you will rule this galaxy." She goes, "I will not kill you in anger then." And then he goes, Kylo shows up while she's still there, and now Kylo and Rey are both there. I might have called her Ren at some point. I'm losing my mind in frustration right now. Palpatine then goes, "Fine. Force sucks all the youth and life out of both of them." And then gets his eyes back. He's not a zombie anymore. He's like, fine. The two have brought back the one. So either there's so much more you can go into on that because there's the rule of two for the Sith, which is that there's two Sith ruling at any given time, the Master and the Apprentice. But then he says this whole time there hasn't been the rule of two because it was just Kylo didn't know about Sidious still being alive. But then they're still trying to play on that by saying the two have revived the one, brought back the one. And then he tells Ben, "You're gonna fall like I did," knocks him down a fucking mountain. Ooh, here he goes. The Rey fights him. Rey beats him. Long story short, Rey beats him non-climactic, super quick way, and then she like passes out from beating him. I guess she just exhausted all of her life force that she had left. And Ben, after having this whole redemption arc, Kylo Ren, who has been Solo now, he's been Ben Solo since he showed up, touches her and I guess transfers life force, and then he disappears. When he disappears, it shows where Leia is in the movie because Leia, even though Carrie Fisher is dead in real life, Leia didn't die in the movie yet. They had her CGI in this movie, but then she did die in this movie, and her body's still there. They go back to the scene where we last saw her body, and then we see her body disappear. So Leia Skywalker disappears. Ben Solo disappears, who has Skywalker blood. This is to say that all the Skywalkers are gone now. So his whole redemption arc is just ended with him disappearing and being dead to give his life so Rey can be alive. Then we see her on Tatooine at the very famous hut that Luke grows up at. And she buries Luke and Leia's sabers in the sand and then has her own saber. And then some old lady says, "Who are you?" "We don't see people much." And she says, "I'm Rey Skywalker." And guess what? That's the end. Yeah. If I just ended the podcast right there, you'd be pretty pissed right now, wouldn't you? That's how I felt when they just ended a legacy that they started like 40 fucking years ago. If you're going to see the movie as just a movie and not a fan of Star Wars, good movie. Once it sinks in on you what they've done, it's kind of shitty. If J.J. Abrams would have just did the last movie and this movie, we would have been fine. J.J. Abrams would have just done this movie and then been given another movie and said, "Fuck it, we're ending this right. Who cares about trilogy rules? Make it a fourth movie. It's the one movie to rule them all." They could have done it right. This is how all that trilogy gets left off, and no matter how many times I rewatch it, it's not going to change. It kind of feels like when you rewatch, you ever watch a Abraham Lincoln movie or something like that? You kind of like watch it and you're like, "Oh yeah, you're rooting for him. Oh man, is he going to get enough votes to end slavery? I don't know." But then you're like, "Oh wait, I do know. I do know." And he is. And it kind of ruins it for you. That's what this is. Anytime I rewatch this movie, I'm going to be wanting things to happen that I know 100% will not happen. And I just think that they could have ended it better with keeping Ben alive and keeping them together some way to show the balance, the true balance. Skywalker and a Palpatine, and so, all the no more dark side left in like anyone. It would have been a big whatever, big old dumb happy ending. I don't know. It could have been, it should have been, it would have been, I don't know. If you're this far listening into this, we've had a long ass podcast so far. I appreciate you. Each podcast is getting longer and longer, almost the longest ones. So hopefully they don't get longer after this. Each one has been the longest one yet. Now, that's what she said. It's really close to Christmas. I hope you have a great Christmas. You should have another podcast around your New Year's time. If I don't hear from you, see you then. I hope you have. Be safe. Treat each other well with love and respect. I'll see you guys back here on the next Krunk Crew. You can make it. Hope you can. I'm Kyle Krunk. I'm out of here. Catch me on Twitch sometime. Twitch.tv/Kyle Krunk. Bye. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.